Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Bourbon and Balance podcast. My name is Tully Chapman, joined by my co-host and good buddy, Ryan Schaefer.
I thought you were going to say Schaffner.
I
was laughing to myself the other day. I was at the gym, and in the upper gym, we have the wall, or we have the garage door that leads outside, and there's been, like hundreds of people have signed it and stuff. And I found your signature on it, and it says Tully in quotes, Terry. I was just literally by myself, like cleaning, and just started laughing.
That's great, man. How's training been?
Training's been good. Training's been weird just because it's like, I almost feel, we talked about it a little bit on a couple episodes ago, but I almost feel bad because I have actually nothing to complain about in terms of, access to equipment or to a gym or anything like that. So it's actually been really great because without a bunch of people, like a normal schedule, I'm training around coaching, and I usually have like an hour and a half, 2 hours every day kind of dedicated to training. But without having to coach or like even worry about coaching, we're just working on some big projects at the gym. So I have like almost more time or like less stress, before and after I get to train. So it's been really, really good. Everything's been pretty good at 8th Day. So what about you? How's training for you?
Good. Just, I've been doing about 2 sessions a day. A lot of days I'll do like a conditioning session and then do a lifting session. So I don't have a squat rack.
You don't, or you do?
I don't have a squat rack. So I've been doing, when I squat, I'll clean it and then squat it. And then since I can't load it a ton, at least not as much as I could with a squat rack, I've been doing a lot of tempo and pause stuff on the squats. And since I'm doing that, I've been doing it with everything else. My shoulder's been a little jacked up. For some reason, floor pressing has been making my shoulder hurt. So I switched from doing any sort of barbell bench press stuff to doing like ring or weighted push-ups.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting because usually, like as a coach, floor pressing is one of those things that you'll sub in for like, bench pressing to reduce the range of motion to try and help out with some type of impingement issue.
Yeah. I don't know. I that's the only thing I can think of that's been making my shoulder hurt. So
what's your
dumbbell bench feels good. Push-ups feel good. It's just barbell. And then like shoulder pressing feels fine too. But every time I floor press, my right shoulder kills. So
the only piece of equipment that you don't really have is a squat rack.
Yeah. I mean, I've been using the beams inside my garage for a pull-up bar.
Yeah.
I need to either make a pull-up bar or buy one. But
so I was just going to ask.
I have a barbell, dumbbell. I don't have any cardio equipment like rower or bike. I want to get those things. I'd like to just have those things here so I could wake up and I could do a single modality workout or some sort of mixed thing. But eventually.
My Rogue shopping cart has had a Concept 2 bike erg in it for like 6 months, just ready to pull the trigger because I want one so bad to either put in the garage or the sunroom to be able to do the same thing. But I also we're both pretty spoiled when we actually are working because we're, literally surrounded by we're in a gym. So it's very easy for us to break away and work out. But
agreed.
I was going to say we should post, and I'll post it in the link tree in our Instagram, but there's a really cool YouTube video that I watched. Actually, it was more so at the beginning of the whole quarantine situation, but it was how to build a full gym in your garage for $500 or less. But it was off of buying equipment. So it was all Amazon purchases. And last night I was just kind of looking around because Jay likes to work out in the garage if she's, worked a long day. And we have a bike and we have dumbbells and kettlebells and stuff, but we don't have a pull-up bar either. And I can't really hang a pull-up bar from our rafters in the garage just because it's probably isn't as sturdy as it should be.
Sure.
I bought some rings and some straps last night, and secured like a beam in the upper rafters. And I kind of like got that itch of like, I wonder like what else I could do, pretty inexpensively in the garage. And I remembered that video. So maybe there's people out there that are like, crap, I need to do more things with my fitness at home. Maybe that would be like a good thing to look at or check out on Amazon.
For sure. That's what I don't know if I need like a squat rack and stuff, but there's a company called Sorinex that they primarily make equipment for like college weight rooms and like really big facilities. Yeah. They released a rack called the Off the Grid rack that is literally, it's just like posts that you mount to like studs in your garage or in your house.
Yeah.
And then it has a spot on top of it for like putting your barbell up there to use as your pull-up bar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people actually.
I'll have to put that in the show notes.
With a barbell, and then like, basically do like L-sit strict pull-ups if they don't have a place to do pull-ups at all. Yeah,
that's actually how we modify them at the high school too. Instead of having the kids always go up to we have like 10 foot tall or 9 foot tall pull-up bars. So sometimes I'll just move the hooks up on the rack and then put a bar up so the kids can just go kind of on the ground.
That's smart.
Yeah.
What are you drinking? Good ball of an episode.
I'm trying to remember. You go first. Kit's, I'm going to need her to grab what I was drinking last night. I need the name of it.
Oh, last night? Like what did you have to drink?
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Okay. I wasn't prepared either, but I can just turn around and look at what I was drinking. Actually, last night we did a takeout, like a pickup order from Donkey Taqueria here in Grand Rapids, which was pretty cool. And what we did was they have basically like a taco for two, take home and heat it up. And then you can also get their margarita mix to go. So we got their classic margarita mix to go. It makes like 8. It said it made 8. What'd you say? 4 ounce? No, maybe 6 ounce. I don't know. 8 like small margaritas. It really only made like 2 a piece, but so we got that and had some margaritas, and then we played phase 10 as well as a couple games of darts. And we finished the night with some White Claws, which was pretty standard. But the bourbon that I've been drinking recently, I picked up a bottle of Michter's, which I've had before a couple times, but I've never actually pulled the trigger on a bottle. And I was at the Bridge Street Market and saw it and was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And so I bought it, and I've had a couple glasses of it. It's really, really good.
Man,
but this morning
you got a lot of variety.
I know. Well, it's quarantine, so you got to make things up. But we're filming Sunday morning, so I am not drinking alcohol currently. I'm having a cup of coffee.
Yes, I am as well. Just some Dunkin' Donuts brand. What is it? French vanilla. I actually really like their coffee. Is
it just Keurig, or is it? Just
no. We just have a coffee maker, drip coffee maker.
Coffee. We have the Nespresso Starbucks pods, so we're just having Starbucks coffee this morning.
Nice.
What did you drink last night?
This guy right here, Roque Brewing Company.
Oh, Rogue.
French Toast Devil Dog Oatmeal Stout.
Jeez, what a mouthful.
Ale brewed with maple syrup and natural flavors. And I don't know if you can see, there's a little dog.
Oh, that's cool.
On the bottle there. So
is it? I think Rogue is that in California or in Utah?
No, it's Michigan. Roque. R-O-A-K. Royal Oak. Royal Oak.
R-O-A-K. I thought you said Rogue. That's cool. Yeah, Rogue Brewing is also another one that I out west somewhere, and I can't think of it. Okay, so earlier this week, we on the Instagram tried to get some interactions with the listeners and basically asked for some questions to be answered during this podcast. And then we're going to start setting up. The original plan was to start having kind of an interview with somebody every other show. Obviously, the quarantine here and the the lockdown kind of put that on pause. So we've gone a little bit. We've gotten creative recently, but
unfortunately, we just have to talk to each other. Oh my God.
What a freaking pain. But so we got some cool questions that we're going to answer. It's going to be a shorter show today, and then we're going to set up an interview for next week to bring. We're going
to set up a lot, man.
Yeah,
we were like 3 or 4 weeks ahead, and we fell off the wall.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody's kind of. Dude, we're just pulling audibles every play at this point.
Oh, yeah, rolling with the punches. All right, so first question here. What are some mistakes you've learned from or things that you know now that you wish you knew then?
And we're going to relate this to training, nutrition, fitness, et cetera, et cetera.
I can't just talk about anything in my life.
No. The mistake I made on the test in the 7th grade, I really learned from for the 8th grade. A mistake that I've learned from, and I think I'm going to be able to, we've kind of alluded to it a lot in the past couple episodes, and we joke about it, but not overtraining, because I don't know if I'm sure I've kind of like touched the boundaries of being overtrained, but doing things within training that don't necessarily fit in with where I'm at in a program or just in my week of training. I'm doing things that's probably not smart, following other pieces. And things that we've talked about in the past, like every Friday for like 2 years, we did Max Out Friday.
Yeah, baby, it was the best day of the week.
Right? And it was always really fun. Don't get me wrong. But like there were days where I would, and we joke about the caffeine content that we would consume and all that. Obviously, none of that is very healthy. And I remember days like leaving work and like literally having to take 800 milligrams of ibuprofen and drinking 200 milligrams plus of caffeine to basically just be able to max out both of the lifts. Because a lot of the time in our training, not that we followed it very strict or anything like that, at certain times throughout those years, but it could have been like Wednesday or Thursday that I did heavy snatches. And then I was basically like, well, F it. It's Friday. So I'm going to max out my snatch too. And that was probably not very smart, just because obviously you don't want to train the same movement with that same intensity too close together.
Yeah, we weren't really even following a program.
We were really just cheering.
Show up and do whatever all week, and then on Friday max out, and then jump in and do the class Metcon or whatever it was. So
there's definitely like I would imagine not plateaus, like lulls in my training and probably in my recovery related to like both muscle repair, but then also probably like hormone levels, because I was pumping myself up with stimulants. And NSAIDs and all that. So definitely now I think we both are much more smart with our training and, like how the week progresses through different movements and different stimulus or stimuli or however you want to say that. And just smarter overall with the template of programming that we follow.
Yeah.
And I wish that I would have had more brains, 5 years ago when training was like really starting to ramp up, where I either, like started paying for a coach or actually just like used my brain and followed something to the T, because, things are written for specific reasons. So,
yeah.
Mine's
in a similar vein of things. It's just like not having a plan with most things, It was like cherry picking articles and then or Barbell Shrugged episodes or whatever, and using whatever things that we currently got excited about were the thing that was like gospel at the time. Like when Corey Gregory went on and did his squat every day. And we tried to do that. And it was one, program jumping, or two, just doing a million different things, randomly doing intermittent fasting, randomly just kind of like eating whatever. That's what a lot of times it's just been like kind of eat whatever all the time. And then it was the same thing with training. It was, coach suggested this, or we were doing CrossFit classes. So we were doing random stuff all the time. And then we were doing, like we had talked about, like Invictus weightlifting and trying to do like, some single modality program, like a 5K running program. Like I did way too many different things at one time instead of having an overarching master plan for all the things that were going on, which we've talked about in the past is a recipe for disaster, because each one of those individual programs is written to get the maximum effect. And by overlapping all those, you're not necessarily getting a better effect. So in general, I think we would both agree that less is more. It's not very often that you need to just add more work or add more programming. Probably just need to be more intentional with the things that you do in a day or in a program or whatever.
Yeah. And I think intensity plays really a large impact in that as well, where, you could do 2 pieces and have 100% intensity in both of those pieces. Maybe it's one strength movement and one aerobic piece, right? Or Metcon. And with 100% intensity and effort in both of those, that's going to trump 6 pieces with 60% intensity.
Yeah.
And you're going to get more out of it, more benefits going to be out of it, right? You're going to have more time in the day because you're not spending 3 hours at the gym. You're only spending 1 hour at the gym. There's a lot of benefits to training smarter and not just harder, or not just longer.
Yeah. I think one thing that, I really tried to do most recently in the past like year or two is make sure every time I do a conditioning or like CrossFit style Metcon workout, or even if it's just going for a run or doing a bike or whatever, that I'm not finishing where it's like, lactic bath, like laying on the floor, rolling around, like drawing that line between training and competing has been a big thing over the past couple of years. Like I don't feel like I need to die every single time. Need to save that in the tank for actual testing or competing.
Yeah, totally. OPEX uses a saying called "reward the pacer." And that's something that's kind of always sticking out to me, or kind of like in the back of my head, because I'm constantly in that battle of, like I train with my teammate, and then with also some really, really good athletes at the gym all the time. And obviously we all want to beat each other and battle for the win of the workout. But I need to step back at times and think, okay, like what is the purpose of what we're doing? Right? Is the purpose to beat Michael today, or is the purpose to get better so that Michael and I can, qualify for the games?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's a good one. I like that one a lot. Next one. What's your best and or worst fitness coaching advice you've ever received? Are you going to do best, or you're going to do worst?
I can do best and worst.
Ooh.
What should I do first?
How about you go first with the worst.
Okay. Worst fitness or coaching advice I ever got was when I was in college. I worked at a health club, and one night we were closing up, and the guy who was the custodian came in as we were working. He saw me eating just a ton of, whatever protein bars, and I had like, I don't remember, bread, like peanut butter sandwiches or something. He's like, why eating all that healthy crap? If you want to gain weight, just do what I do. Eat a whole large pizza and drink a couple of pitchers of beer every night. You'll pack on the pounds.
You sure will.
Yeah.
You sure will.
That is, yeah.
Dirty bulking 101.
Hey, baby.
Probably have a couple chocolate chip cookies or brownies after that.
Diabetes is scary.
Some candy. I mean, that all sounds great, but got to throw a little balance in there, baby.
Maybe at 20 years old, I probably could have did that and performed all right, actually. So
not anymore.
No.
My worst, I don't really have like advice that I look back on and think like, Wow, that's terrible. Well, okay, that's not true. I have nothing against, I want to preface this all. I have nothing against doctors at all. I love all of the doctors that are doing everything in the world right now, helping with this pandemic, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't go to the doctor's office, like the traditional doctor's office, like ever. And maybe like 4 years ago was when my knee injury was like at an all-time peak. And I basically was like at a loss for what to do. Like I had tried everything on my own. I was researching as much as I could in terms of like physical therapy I could do at the house, supplements that would help with recovery. I was like basically not squatting at all for like weeks at a time, at least below parallel, to try and, rehab my knee as much as I could, because squatting was what was bothering it the most. So I was like, oh man, I might just have to like bite the bullet, go see a doctor, get an MRI, let them, if I have a torn meniscus, let them tell me that, and then maybe I'd get surgery. So I was like, gosh, dang it, I'm going to have to just go to the doctor. So I went to a doctor that was recommended in town, and, he's putting me through a couple, like, what bothers it the most? What do you do when it is inflamed or bothered? And then we kind of got down to the, squatting was what bothered me. And this doctor, I mean, like straight up told me that it is unhealthy for a human to squat below parallel because it's bad for your knees. And when I heard that, like everything else that he said in that session that I was there with him was just like it could have just been muted, because I didn't listen to anything else that he said the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And then I got a check for like $75 for seeing him for 20 minutes. And I genuinely have not gone into a doctor's office since then. Now, again, I have many friends that are doctors and PAs and nurses and every other type of doctor that I can not remember at this time. And I love them all, and they all are great. This was just like a very old school way of thinking.
Yeah.
To tell a human being not to squat because it's unhealthy, I was just like in my head, like, what?
What are we doing?
What is happening? Right?
That's like,
that was probably the worst advice that I was ever given in terms of fitness, I guess.
That's what I had a similar thing last year when I was probably at some of the best shape that I ever had been in like August. I went to a new doctor because the guy that I went and saw wasn't very helpful. So I decided to go see a new doctor because it was supposed to be, a sports medicine and family practice.
Yeah.
So I was like, perfect, exactly what I need.
Right.
And I went through like the first visit and, talked to the doctor about a bunch of things like, hey, I work out, 10 to 20 hours a week, I'm in yada, 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 doing all these kinds of things. And we finished the appointment, and the next couple of days I get they call me for my blood panels that came back, and they're like, hey, you seem to have elevated levels of cholesterol. The doctor recommends a healthy diet and exercise. And I was just like, what? Did we not listen at all? And then I was like,
you're probably obese in terms of your BMI.
Yeah.
And considered unhealthy and overweight, and you need to lose weight. And yeah. I again, I have nothing against doctors. It's just the traditional form of medicine has never been something that I've been like super pumped about when it comes to training and performance.
Yeah.
But
it's just not been very helpful for either of us. So.
Yeah. I do think things are changing drastically as technology and just kind of like the view of the new age doctor has changed as well. Like this holistic or like movement focused form of medicine, or like preventative medicine, which is really, really, exciting and interesting for what's to come. But yeah, that traditional, like take these pills for, 3 weeks and rest and elevate your knee because it's bothering you and don't squat ever again. It's just kind of like, well, I'm not going to do that. But
yeah.
Anyways. All right. Next question. Unless you have, what's the best fitness advice? Do you have one?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't necessarily advice, but there's a guy named Mike Boyle that I follow that's a hockey strength coach. Well, he owns a private gym out in Boston now, but he was like Boston College's hockey strength coach and the Red Sox. He did a presentation at a conference that I went to, and he starts every conference with there's a slide that says, what if the way we've always done it is the wrong way? And so that was just something that I was like, you know what? I'm not opposed to thinking about things that have been gospel and, potentially not, following what I've always been taught. Like his big thing is
challenging the norm.
Yeah. Like at his gym, they don't barbell back squat. That's something could be a whole nother, or should be a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But that's just like, he is a strength coach, but he challenges the norms and what's been done, and is always trying to find a better way to do things. That's
one of those things that sticks out to me from like my corporate America world was like, one of my bosses that at the time was really good at, if he heard somebody say, well, that's just how we've always done it, that was like the red flag that goes up, and it's basically like, start challenging it right away. Like, why have we always done it this way? Is it working? Is it not working? And then, is there a creative way to do it differently or better? And you can apply that to, health, fitness, nutrition, anything.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
What is your biggest motivation, or who, or whatever?
I think it's more internal for me. I don't have like an external source of motivation. I think we've talked about this before, but it's kind of just like the motivation for me is to see how far I can push certain aspects of performance within kind of my own limits, of my body. So like, I don't have somebody that, that I look up to that is like, I want to be like that person, or I want to accomplish the things that they did, because if, then you're just held within the constraints of what that person has done. And it's more so of like, paving your own path of success or performance, and kind of figuring it out on your own. And I think that like innate source of motivation is necessary when, you're trying to reach goals that are really, really big. So I don't really have like like I said, like an external source of motivation. It's more of just like an internal self-inflicted motivation. Like,
you don't have like a newspaper clipping picture of your Russian nemesis on the mirror on your dresser.
No, I don't have a mantra. I don't have a sign that I slap every time I leave my bedroom.
Dang, man.
I don't have anything like that. It's more of just wanting to do.
No wonder you're so average.
Yeah. I'm pretty average. What about you? Do you have a?
Yeah, I mean, mine has gone, I've had a lot of external motivating factors. In high school, I really wanted, our football program was really bad. And that was a big motivating factor for me, was to try to like, work hard so that way we could get our football program like out of the ditch.
Yeah.
In college, I learned pretty quick that I was not as good as I thought I was. And I had some people that told me that straight up. So I just wanted to prove people wrong.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the times I've been motivated just by proving people wrong.
Sure.
And then most recently I train, one, because I like the mastery component of doing the Olympic lifts and doing those kinds of things. But I also want to walk the walk and talk the talk. I don't want to say that you need to my kids that they need to train 4 or 5 times a week, and then, I'm not doing it myself. So I think it's important as a strength coach to always be able to demo the things that you are prescribing.
Sure.
So, I love it when a kid dumps a squat and I can clean it back into the rack for him. So, but I want to be a motivation for the people that I coach. I don't want to be somebody that tells people to do things. I want it to give them things to do that I would do myself.
Yeah.
That's my motivation.
That's cool. All right, last one, and then we'll wrap this thing up. In your opinion, what is the importance of rest days or deload weeks?
I think that resting and deload, especially in the endurance training world and in probably, CrossFit is there. I don't have a ton of this problem at the high school, but in general, people kind of think that like rest and work are opposite ends of the spectrum. Like they oppose each other. And I think of rest and work as two cogs in a wheel that you rest, work, and they're the better, more effective your rest is, the more effective your training can be. And vice versa, the more effective and well thought out your training is, the more effective you'll be able to rest, or maybe not have to rest as often, or whatever. So they are interchangeable. I think it's very important to figure out what recovery modalities work for you and what deloading measures work for you. In general, I don't respond well from volume or from intensity deloading. If I drop too much, then I will not feel as strong and powerful when I come back.
Yeah.
So usually I only volume deload, and that's what works well for
me. One thing that I just posted actually the other day, and it's from Jordan Syatt. I think that's how you say his last name. I posted on my Instagram, and a lot of people were actually commenting on it and liking it and stuff. But the quote says, for one person, progress might be getting up and exercising when every ounce of their being doesn't want to. For someone else, progress might be staying in bed and resting when every ounce of their being wants to exercise. And I thought that was pretty interesting because, again, kind of going back in time to earlier stages of our kind of like performance training or training in general, I didn't even think rest days were a thing. Like I wouldn't even accept them. And all I wanted to do was train and add volume. And that most definitely, looking back, slowed a lot of my goals. I think rest and deload weeks are essential, but like you said, it's finding the right balance that works for you as an individual.
Yeah.
Again, like I am kind of the opposite. Like we currently are in 8-week cycles. So we'll train really, really hard for 7 weeks, and then we'll have a week of a deload and then kind of reset from there. And that's pretty standard, I think. Sometimes it's 12 weeks, but within those 7 weeks, I mean, you're killing yourself 5 days a week. There's 2 rest days, but try and be active in those rest days. But yeah, I mean, for 7 weeks, you're just crushing it. When I reached that 7th week, my body, both my body, but also kind of my mental state is just completely fatigued. Like I can feel my nervous system is fatigued. My hormone levels are starting to get out of whack because I haven't allowed them to recover as much as they need to. And then it's seriously the best feeling knowing that next Monday I get to start kind of deload in terms of volume is decreased, intensity is decreased for me. And then I kind of just get to rest a lot more and recover after a hard training cycle. So I think for me right now, being, I'm almost 29, they're necessary because I think they're going to allow me to continue training at the intensity that I'm currently training at, without getting hurt, and also without kind of mixing up or messing up my hormones and my nervous system and kind of all of those systems within that aid in performance and recovery.
Yeah. I deload, I think, more often usually than you do it, especially if I'm writing my own program. I usually do 3 or 4 weeks up and then take a week down.
Yeah. And part of me wishes that it was more like that at times. And I do dial back within the middle of a cycle where like I can feel my body is just like beat up.
Yeah.
I will cycle back intensity and even volume in the middle of a cycle if I'm starting to feel that like lull of training. But man, that like full deload week is fantastic, and in my eyes, 100% necessary.
Yeah.
And I think it's necessary for a lot of people. Like, I think a lot of people out there, they train as much as they can, as often as they can. And I think a lot of people just kind of in the general scheme of things, maybe they need to look at when's the last time that you took a week of, instead of 5 to 6 days a week going into the gym and killing yourself, maybe just like 2 to 3 times. And stepping back and just kind of recovering before you go into that next week.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing because for a lot of people, they're not in the same place as we are thinking about their training as, like a long-term plan. For a lot of people, going to the gym is the same kind of habit as waking up and eating breakfast.
Yeah, totally.
It's just kind of like going and doing what's there, not thinking in terms of that. So I think it's an important thing if we have any coaches listening to think about the way you write your programming, especially if you're at a CrossFit gym, of writing as an actual training program cycle and not just, what do they call it's not random CrossFit programming. What do they call the term for throwing things in and then spitting them out?
Like the hopper style?
The hopper, yeah. So like that's an important thing that I talk to coaches about a lot is like, don't just write a training program that is just essentially you're just randomly programming things all over the place.
Yeah.
Make it intentional and make sure you're programming deloading into, your class programming.
Yeah. And I think those gyms that were doing the hopper style programming either have unfortunately folded or they've been forced to change the way that they program. And I know the 2 gyms that we come from do a really good job at almost like within a week. The way that they program is to balance the whole week, all 7 days, around the idea that there could be members coming, 6 out of the 7 days. And how do you keep those people coming back, hitting different stimuluses and different body parts and different styles of workouts to keep things interesting, but also keep them healthy enough so that they can continue coming back and, increasing their fitness in general.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. That was good. I like that. That was quick-ish. How far are we in? Is this long?
I have no idea. I can't see the time. So.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you made it this far, we'll continue obviously like taking questions as we go, as different topics come up. But look for kind of an announcement on who we're going to be interviewing next week. We'll get that name out there shortly. And then from there, we're just going to start rolling, keep rolling. This thing's been fun. We just found out that we have hit over 1,000 listens to each one of our, not to each one, but in total, all of the podcasts that we've put out, 10 total episodes, over 1,000 listens, which is kind of crazy. It's kind of cool. That many people are listening to us talk back and forth to each other and make fun of each other. So that's neat.
Yeah. And it's been wild to have people reach out that I haven't consistently talked to, like friends from college.
Oh yeah.
That reached out and were like, hey, I've been listening to the podcast. And I just appreciate that people would even take the time out of their day to listen to us. So it's great. Another thing, we're going to have a giveaway coming up as well. So
stay tuned for that.
Yeah, stay tuned. Look on social media for that. And we have some good stuff that we're going to give away. Fitness stuff.
Fitness goodies. All right, cool. Well, sign us off. We'll talk to people shortly.
Bourbon and balance, boys.